a lot of it is just we put so much pressure on ourselves and on other people and so much judgment and so much blame and shame and all of that. And we just need to be a little bit nicer to ourselves. And
look, hell of an intro. I tell you what you info, but I never really been the type of dude to give no info. But if you see your ends low and you trying to get a benzo, I'll give your ass some game that'll change the way that you think, bro. Super skilled with the pencil, super ill in my mental. I reminisce on life, I'm nice, here's my memento. Get it through your tempo, I get on any tempo and give it all I got. I'm hot, I got like 10 flows, trying to live on the 10th floor, across from residentials that I own. My mind stayed grown, I used to think clothes, I really used to think hoes and what I do to get those. And then I switched it up, I'm only thinking potential. Yeah, like what you do, homie? What's your vision? How you thinking? How you move, homie? And is you cool, homie? You thinking building, then that's something we could do, homie.
And we live, everybody. Welcome to The Walk and Grow. It's Roney and Francis on the mic. This is a show where you have a place to empower your mind. Not only that, but get to transform your reality. And the best part is you get to do it with us. Sometimes you'll hear us rant, go back and forth with each other, or maybe you'll hear from a guest that you have no idea who they are. But the best part about it is you get to hear about their perspective, and that's what our goal is to do. And we want to be able to hear from you as well. So DM us, email us, #GrowTogether to share your thoughts on maybe in a previous episode we talked about, or maybe it's just a highlight an episode, or it's just you wanting to go ahead and share your perspective. But with that being said, man, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm excited for today's episode. We got a good one today.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Should we go ahead and kick it off?
Yeah, I think we should go just right in there and start it. Yeah. We got a special guest in the lobby.
There it goes. The mic is hot. We're live.
Welcome. We're live right in.
Welcome.
You're
great.
in.
No warning, no nothing.
No. That's
Welcome to the Walk
what
and Grow podcast. How you doing, Courtney?
Thanks. Good, how are you?
Are we doing well?
It's
I'm
really
doing
like
well.
zooms right in. Just hello.
For now,
right
it does.
on your face.
It will zoom out eventually, the way that it all lays out. So don't worry. We got you all covered. How are you doing, Courtney?
Right in. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. A slow day. I planned myself a slow day so I wouldn't be rushing into this all worried. So, yeah, it's pretty good. How's your day?
It's pretty good. It's chill day. A lot going on behind the scenes, I will say, but it was a productive day for the most part. Got to learn a few new things to implement in my general life, business, and even with this podcast. So I think I'm going to get a little bit more out of today, given, just who we have. And for you guys that don't know,
stop.
Francis, I'm going to need you to go ahead and kick out this intro here because, Courtney,
It's
a little bit better than I do.
It's going to be brief. I mean, Courtney is someone that I met when we were in college and maintained a good friendship all over the years. And, just following her on social media and seeing some of the stuff that she's been talking about, some of the stuff that she's posting as a social worker, I thought it would be great to have her on and share her perspective and kind of, bring a different spice to the show. I like the way you kind of present some of the stuff that you talk about, and I would like for you to kind of use this platform to let us know how you really feel.
Oh, no.
But yeah, so I'm open the floor
though.
and kind of let you out. I'm open the floor and let you, kind of introduce yourself to our audience.
Okay.
Who's Courtney? Who?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know you brought up work already, and then you mentioned spice, and I was like, well, you want work or personal? Because I definitely have this spice, but those are two different sides. But we could do both. So yeah. I mean, that was a good intro, but yeah, I guess, who am I? I am a social worker. I'm living in Phoenix right now. It's probably
West Side.
Has all of your guests have been in North Carolina, right? So far?
No.
Was I paying attention? No? Okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
Well, my bad. Well, anyway, I'm in Phoenix, and yeah, so I'm a therapist specifically. So yeah, social work, but specifically doing therapy with teens. My age range is 12 to 18. I love working with teens. I always have. I went into like college with going for a degree with physical education and health education. So I wasn't actually, my plan was not to be a social worker. My plan was not to be a social worker. And then even when I got the social work degree, my plan was not to be a therapist. So everything kind of fell into place. But yeah, I just kind of learned that teaching wasn't really my thing. I love the education piece, but not so much the teaching piece. So I figured out how to do social work, what social work was. And now I'm here. So yeah, that's me professionally, but I know I'm sure we'll get into hobbies and other things as well, but yeah. Oh.
You actually brought up a good point. You are actually our first guest on the West Coast, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to hold that crown over everybody.
I wasn't trying to brag. I was just trying to remember, but yeah, clearly I didn't pay too much attention to detail. My bad.
I don't know, Francis, man. I don't know.
Hey,
I'm listening. I promise I'm listening. I'm like a professional listener, and I still miss details.
You said that now. I thought it was interesting when I first met you, and now, and seeing how, the growth over the years and the transition from, because I met you way before you became a therapist.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And people change, their view change, and during that transition, I'm curious to know how it was navigating all, from leaving college, moving, you were originally from New York, moving from New York to Phoenix, Arizona. How did you, manage that cycle?
Yeah. It's kind of interesting that you say that, like how you said it, because you met me, like if reflecting on that time, like you met me at actually a pivotal time of probably why I am where I am right now. And just because I don't know if you knew it at the time, I think you know now, but some of the things that I was going through at the time when we did meet, and how that kind of became a huge part of who I am, and just some things that ended up being pretty traumatic and pretty difficult in my life. And kind of you go through your day-to-day or your program, your major, whatever it is, and start to think like, is this enough? Is this really what I want to do long term, full time? Is this what I want to spend all my time and energy on? And I loved teaching, and I loved health. I really liked my program, but I didn't feel, it's weird to say it, but I didn't feel like I could make the impact I wanted to on students as a teacher. I felt like there was more that I could do, and that's obviously nothing against teachers. I'm sure I know they do, but just me as a person, what I felt like I wanted to accomplish, it was more the education system that bothered me. But so yeah, just moving forward through college, I kind of realized what was important to me and the impact, which areas I wanted to have that impact. And I like leaned into that macro social work practice more of my senior year and learning more about what that was. Senior year was also the first time I went to therapy, which gave me a good look at like what that was. I hated it.
Okay.
So that was a big deal, but I also didn't know what to do. As a client, I was like, you're supposed to ask me all the right questions, and that's how you're going to get the answers rather than opening up myself. So that was a big, learning experience. But yeah, after that, it was kind of, I knew I needed to do something else. And in Massachusetts, where I went to college, I would have need to have a teaching master's degree in teaching within the next 5 years anyway, just to keep your license. So to me, it was like, I'm going to need a master's anyway. I might as well, look into what I'm really, truly passionate about. And my mom was, she helped me make that decision. She knew I loved Arizona. She knew I wanted to be out here at some point. And I remember her saying, like, it's now or never, why not? Go do it, experience it. So I looked for some schools out here, and ASU was the one that had the master's program. So here we are. And then I guess I just forgot to leave because 6 years later.
I mean, that's a good problem to have. If you're there 6 years later, that means you enjoy it. So that's the best thing you could
Absolutely.
ask for. I mean, and even to have your mother by your side supporting your decisions, I think that's even greater because now you have
Yes.
someone that can help you make a good decision because that's all we want to do. Every single one of us. We don't want to make terrible decisions. And
Yeah.
I want to touch upon you saying you went to therapy and you hated it because I've never been, and I'm sure that
Okay.
there's other people that have listened that have never been to therapy. What made you
Yeah.
hate therapy? Because I feel like
I
everyone's going to hate it going in, but you
yeah.
really never know what you're gonna get until you experience it. So to hear from your
Yeah.
perspective of hating it first or afterwards, I'm curious to know what went on there.
Yeah.
Just like,
That makes sense. That's a good question. I probably shouldn't say I hated it. That's a strong word, but I remember like when I started, that's what I thought it was gonna be. Was like this person's gonna ask all the right questions. They're gonna know what to say to bring out of me the stuff I need to talk about. And that's not how it works. You need to have a role in your own treatment and
eh,
in your own kind of expectations of what you're gonna talk about. And I try to make it really clear with my kids now, just to be like, this is for you. I want you to kind of drive the car here, and you let me know if there's anything you want to talk about today, or if you want to wait a little while, whatever the case may be. But I just really had a lot of expectations of her as a therapist, I guess, and that's really not what it looks like. And then I did have someone else as well, who I just remember not having really great rapport with.
eh,
And I think it was kind of just my expectations. They're going to make me feel better. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. And then the approach that they took, it really just wasn't for me. And that's okay as well. But I think that's one thing that's really important is finding who you're comfortable with, who you have that rapport with. And it's okay to say, like, I don't think I'm really vibing with this person. That doesn't mean therapy isn't for you. That doesn't mean therapy isn't working. It just means you can ask to switch to someone else, or maybe a different like modality or tool that they're using.
well, I'm gonna play the bad guy here really quickly.
Okay.
I personally don't want to spend money trying to find that person to that
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna
Uh-huh.
bond with first. So like, how is it that you mitigate that if there is a way to do so? Because you
Yeah.
just saying that you have to find your person first, but it's like, damn, I
Uh-huh.
already spoke to this person. I already shared X amount of
Yeah.
information. I'm probably gonna have to do it again. But now this
Yeah.
mother lover knows about me, and I don't want him to know. So like, is
Yeah.
there any way to kind of like, I guess, get a feel of a person beforehand, or is it just, hey, you gotta kind of go in there and get what you get, and if you don't
Uh-huh.
vibe with the person, you just gotta go out and find somebody else?
Yeah. I do think I will say, like, for the experience that I had in college, it was a lot about where I was at.
Right.
And I don't think I was ready for anything challenging. I think, just my expectations weren't what therapy really is. So you do have to have some sort of headspace of, am I ready to do this work? And if they say something to me that is challenging or that I wasn't necessarily expecting, am I okay with accepting that? Am I going to be
Uh-huh.
able to appreciate, their professional opinion or whatever it may be? So that's part of it, is just you got to be in the right headspace, but also just what you're looking for. So I just actually started therapy again with someone new. I was using, not that I'm trying to sell certain stuff, but I was using BetterHelp for a while, just for virtual stuff because it was easier, just being more accommodating with times and whatnot. But I just wanted to go back in person, so I just started something new. And what I was looking for, price is definitely like, that's
Yeah.
super valid because it's expensive. Anything like that is expensive.
Uh-huh.
It's difficult, but so I will look for, I think specifically because I think I'm difficult. I think all therapists are the most difficult clients. So I will look for a PhD. I'll look for certain types of licensure levels, just so that I know they have that experience. I want someone who's had more experience than I have, and
Uh-huh.
I would trust. I know a lot of people my age, a lot of people at my level who are fantastic, and I would absolutely trust them. I just think for the stuff I want to talk about, I look for those types of levels. But then also, I will look for someone with a specific type of experience. So, the trauma that I might be discussing, do they have experience with that? The type of therapy, which of course I have insight into this, but I know the type of therapy I want to do. I know what I want them to be trained in because I might want to use that type of therapy. So, yeah, not everyone is going to go into it saying like you need to be EMDR trained, but sometimes you will know, and it's okay to look into that as well. But if you go on like Psychology Today or websites like that, it's going to say experience with this issue, that type of thing. So, and then, depression, anxiety, diagnoses, but also things that you may have experienced. So there's lots that you can look at ahead of time.
Yeah, well, good thing I have you by my side, because I probably won't be doing that. I'll just, hey, Courtney, I need some
Just
help
come to
over
me.
here. Yeah, that's what we're all here
That's
to do,
funny.
help each other.
Yeah. That's funny.
It's
I'm not
interesting.
independently licensed, so I won't charge you.
Hey, dude, it works out even better.
That's funny. Not yet, anyway. We'll see.
Oh, boy.
And then if I need to buy a house or something,
I
I'll
got you
need you
covered
to do
there.
some research.
I got you
Hey.
covered there.
That's perfect. There you go.
Helping each other, I love it.
I'm sure. I mean, it's definitely beneficial to have a group of friends who are also therapists and social workers, so I totally get it.
I'm gonna jump in here and kind of follow up on that conversation. You mentioned earlier that you did not enjoy, you hated it at the beginning, and going into it, you're now doing it yourself, and I'm sure you come across sometime in front of situations where the person doesn't want to be there, or or is in a position where you have to put in some work to to meet them where they are at that level.
Absolutely.
Knowing that you went through that challenge, and you just went back to therapy yourself, how do you find the balance in being able to be there for the person and also protect your space, if you do protect your space? Because at the same time, we're all dealing with our own struggle, our own challenges. So you being able to take on clients, I would love to know, first of all, why you picked that specific age group, and how do you balance that space?
Them not wanting to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's if I'm thinking back to when I like decided I love working with teens, I really don't remember how that started. When I was going into college and I knew I was going to start with PE, it was a dual PE and health. I wanted nothing to do with health education. But I did the dual degree. Thank you, Dad, for making me do the dual degree. But going into PE, the school, they were like, you're going to do K through 12. You're going to learn K through 12. And I straight up was like, I can tell you right now, I'm staying far away from K. So they were like, you're still going to have to learn it. You're going to have to, work with the kids and stuff. I was like, I'll of course I'll do what I got to do, but I'm not. And they're like, well, we want you to be employable if a elementary school reaches out to you. I'm like, I will not accept that offer. I just knew.
Oh, boy.
I knew. I don't remember why per se, but I've always loved teens. I genuinely just think I can relate. Like, I'm sure there's downsides to that, to being so able to relate to teenagers, but I've just always felt that way. I know how I was as a teen. I know, the good and the bad of how I was as a teen. And then I really just think, there's nothing that they can say or do that I would judge because of the things that I experienced and other people that I talked to and things like that. So that's kind of how I got into this age range. I've of course there's negative experience in terms of the things that they say and do, and they're tough just like any other age range would be. But I've never had a time where it's like, man, teens are just not it. I've always loved them. And they're just so resilient. And the same thing, you can say that for any age range, but I'm so impressed by them and inspired by them every day. So yeah, and I'll continue to be. But yeah, and then but yes, they don't always want to be in therapy. So it's this. I should preface by saying I work for a nonprofit, so sometimes when they come in, it's because their parents are making them. Sometimes when they come in, it's their probation, so they're required to be there for court or because they're in detention or something. Some of them are DCS, so they have to be there because DCS recommended it. So there's a lot of reasons why someone might not want to be there. And my perspective on that and kind of our policy within the agency is they shouldn't be doing it if they don't want to, because it's so hard to be open-minded. It's so hard to, you have to be engaged. You have to be willing to put in the work. And if they really aren't, and we're forcing a service, all we're doing is creating a negative relationship with therapy, and that's not what we want.
Well,
So I'd so much rather respect their opinion. I'd so much rather respect what they want so that as an adult, they can look back and say, that was an okay experience. They respected what I needed, and now I know that it's okay to go back or to seek some sort of help rather than looking at it and saying, I was forced into this. I'm never going to want to do it again. Why would I want to put myself back in that situation?
were you as a teenager a troubled child? Because you said you can relate to them, so I want to know. I gotta know.
That was very direct. That was a very
I
direct
think
question.
we were all troubled child at some point, at least.
I mean, I
You
guess,
had
I
your
guess.
phase. You had your phase. You had
But
your
your
phase.
troublesome and my troublesome may be two different. So
Okay.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I'm just curious. I'm curious. Did you give your parents a run?
Yeah.
Did you make them run for their money?
That's funny because my head went directly to what would they say? I think my parents would say no. I do think my parents would say no. I was a good kid. I had no issues. I had good grades. I was
Okay.
always really hard on myself. So I always had good grades. I did the best I could in sports. I was always a 3-sport athlete in high school. I was definitely an overachiever in terms of, yeah, for sure. But a lot of the, really what it comes down, this is a very therapist answer. Really what it comes down to is the things that I needed in childhood, which of course I didn't know in childhood. I only know that now. The things that I needed in childhood were coming out. They started to come out in high school, and the types of people I would hang around and the types of people I got really, really close to, and not setting boundaries for myself and self-esteem and those types of things started, which self-esteem is going to be a huge thing in middle school and high school anyway, but that all kind of really started to happen in high school, got worse in college, and kind of continued. So it just allowed me to see okay, a lot of these patterns really started showing up in high school. I can see how that happens throughout this age range.
Gotcha. See, Francis, not everybody's a troublesome person. So
Yeah,
there's
I
your
am-
living proof
That's
right
not
there.
necessarily what I said. That's not
there's your
necessarily
living
what I
proof right
said.
there. She said she was
I
a
think-
great child. So I think I got that one. I think I got that one.
And to answer the other side of the question, I definitely do give my parents a run for their money, but not necessarily through high school.
Okay.
It would be a different way, but
Okay, that's fair then. It sounds like I would say that you found your passion in terms of just being able to help the teenage adolescent age and just kind of guide them through their life. How were you able to find that? What helped you, I guess, find that passion?
yeah. So back to college, it really did come down to the things that I experienced and kind of opened my eyes. I'm a very open person, but to say it more broadly, just kind of the world of domestic violence, sexual violence, violence against women, things like that. I think that is a really big topic in college just because it's so huge in college, unfortunately. So I just kind of opened my eyes to whoa, this is a huge issue that, growing up in Saugerties, New York, I did not hear about. You don't think about it in small towns or when you're necessarily in high school unless you experience it, unfortunately. But going into college, it was this is way bigger than I ever would have thought. So, and then I did start working with teens when I was doing student teaching. So then I'd hear more of their stories and just see more and more how prevalent it was. And so I wanted to keep looking into it. And I did some looking into what is Title IX? How does that impact me? Why do we have a Title IX coordinator in college? What do they even do? So I talked to the Title IX coordinator. I talked to some of the other, the vice president of student affairs and just things like that about what programs do we have? What are we doing about this issue on campus? Really just to get a better understanding of what it looked like. And then from there I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. This is way more interesting to me. And I also, I mean, I went into PE because I liked sports. I think 18 is way too young to be determining what you're going to be passionate about for years. So I liked sports and I liked working with kids. That's all I really knew. But as I continued to learn and continued to grow, it was more of, figuring out like, wait, this is something I want more information. I want to talk to more people about it. I want to share my experience. I want to hear other people's experience. So it got to a point where it's like, okay, this is clearly something I'm gonna be interested in for a while. And then with social work at ASU, they had a specific. I have a master's certificate in domestic violence. So my program was specific towards domestic violence advocacy. And then I got a job right with a domestic violence agency. So really just kind of fell into place from there, and I was able to continue to learn more and more and get involved. And
That's good. I think a lot of people find different ways of finding their passion. And so it's really unique to hear how individuals kind of go about how they came across it, just to kind of share for those individuals listening of there is so many different ways you can come across what it is that you enjoy. And you were able to hear from Courtney herself. She said being open-minded was one of the big things, but then also seeking for that new information that's going to consistently help her understand the Title IX. And when you said that, I was like, damn, I don't remember what Title IX is. So if you're listening, don't feel bad. I didn't know. I'm going to go ahead and save you some stress right now. It protects people from discrimination based on sex and education education programs or activities. So there you go. If you felt like you were outside of the loop, I got you covered there. You don't have to do the research. The research was done for you. But I know Francis is like smiling over there because he has a question right off the top of his head. So go ahead, take it away, my man.
No, I don't actually have a question. I'm enjoying the conversation and kind of, getting the perspective that you have, just seeing how you were able to integrate yourself into the field. I don't want to kind of, keep on diving into the field, but I have one question really in terms of when you look at the impact that therapy has for everybody, right? For I myself had to go through therapy at a certain point, right? And you realize that you may start at a young age and transition, at every stage you may need it. It doesn't matter what age you are. This walk of life, you don't want to go through it alone, whether it's through therapy or through, a body system or parent support or friend support, any kind, but you need some sort of support as you're moving towards, through life. Now, you find that support, part of it, I would say, is it safe to say that you find part of it through therapy yourself? Or,
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so if that's the case now, I'm looking through, we're all familiar with the current crisis of mental health that's going on around. And that's, especially on a college level, it's extremely difficult. Now, for somebody who went through that, phase while in college and now on the other side of the track, support, helping, especially at a younger age group, what advice would you have, for those, whether they're in the field, in the field, or for those who are, navigating some of those challenges at the early stage so that they don't face that obstacle, as they get through college or get in the workforce, because you're dealing with an age group that's very sensitive to change and will be exposed to a lot of change through the years. Yeah. So how do we prepare them, equip them to not, have to deal with so many obstacles as when they get to the different stage? I know that's kind of a lot there, but I'm not expecting you to have the right answer. I just want to hear your perspective. This is a conversation, Ron. You can chime in and have your perspective as well from a non-therapist view.
And just before you chime in, Courtney, this is just her perspective, everybody. This is what she would do. This is the things that she would advise herself. This is not actual advice for you to go ahead and take upon and just do it in your own personal life. So with that being said, go ahead, take it away, Courtney.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And it does kind of depend on what we're talking about, of course. Like mental health as a whole, obviously it's a huge range of things that people might experience versus like my specific trauma. There's different things, but I think I think really what it comes down to, I'm going to give like the most broad answer because everyone's different and everyone experiences different things. But
That's fine.
really what it comes down to is I feel like people are so hard on themselves and hard on other people. And why? Where did that come from?
Right.
You know, so just learning to, some of the things I was thinking of kind of coming into this conversation was some of the things that you've already mentioned, because I do listen. So for example, Ronnie, you say all the time, control the controllables,
Yeah.
right? There's so much stress on, just everything, the whole wide world, right? We stress about so much stuff and put so much pressure on ourselves, and it's like, I had no control over that. And one example that I give all the time with my teens is if I get cut off in traffic, I had no, well, I mean, sometimes you can, but realistically, I could get so upset over something I had no control over. Why? You know, so just doing our best to control the controllables and not, you know, take everything that comes to us and just say, you know, why is this here? What can I do with it? And move forward, which of course is, there's a little bit of CBT in that and a little bit of gaslighting. I'm not saying you can just get over everything. That would be the worst therapy advice ever. But a lot of it is just we put so much pressure on ourselves and on other people and so much judgment and so much blame and shame and all of that. And we just need to be a little bit nicer to ourselves. And another thing I remember you saying, I think Francis was the one that brought this up, but small celebrations. I'm huge on small celebrations. Did you get out of bed on time? That's incredible for some people, right? Did you make your bed? That's huge. That can be such a great thing in terms of just checking some things off your to-do list. Anything. Did you, like, okay, you wanted to go to the gym for 30 minutes, but you did 10? That's great. Celebrate 10. Don't be upset about the 20, right? Because those are the types of things that is going to trigger positivity in your brain, and you're going to want to do more positive things. So, yeah, just, I think the most broad answer is some of that. But then, of course, when it's trauma related or it's more, you know, intensive than that, there's going to be other answers, and they're going to be more specific to people's experiences. But I think overall it's just, we just put so much pressure and so many expectations on people, and especially teens. I think people underestimate the stuff that teens are going through these days, and kind of always. And they're like, oh, so entitled, or they just expect so much. And it's like, I really do think people minimize what they are going through and the stressors that they do have, and kids too, little kids too. So yeah, just being more open-minded to people and empathetic towards people. Empathy is huge. We gotta get better.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Well said.
I think it's a really, really tough one, because now you throw in social media, right? And I think that plays a huge reason why a lot of people are so hard on themselves. Is for that one image that everyone shows, that everything is great, glamorous, and everything's all good every single day, every time they post.
Yeah.
And again, that could be a post that was a year ago. You would have no idea, excuse me, that someone is actually going through that at that current moment, whether it be good, bad, or it's just a normal day for them. But I'm going to pin it on social media, and truly indeed, I'm grateful for it, but I wish people used it more as a tool rather than something to kind of compare and contrast. I forgot the good old saying when it says, you know, when you're comparing yourself to someone else, but I'm sure you know Courtney now. If not, that's fine. There's one quote that I know that people like to say in terms of you're comparing yourself to others and you're just kind of like hurting yourself in the long run.
Yeah.
But I would say it's that social media. So if you can use it more as like a tool for whatever it is that maybe it's you sharing your personal memories with your family or people that you just haven't seen or friends that you just don't connect with on a regular. Maybe use it for that. But I think the moment you go on there and you're like, man, I wish, oh, look at this. This is great. Oh, I want this. Now you're going down a rabbit hole that you can keep going down.
Definitely. And that's easy to do at any age, not necessarily just with teens, but I think it definitely can be both. And I've done a lot of work in one of my previous roles where I was educating. We did some topics with media literacy and what are we doing with social media and being safe on the internet and things like that. But I've seen, I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of things I've seen on like Instagram, for example, that I use in sessions. Just a different perspective, because sometimes I think I get stuck in the same old tools or the same way to say things. And then I see something that's, a quote or a tool or something. And I'm like, that's actually a really, that's a good way to say it or a good way to see it. And I'll bring it up in session. And when I say like, I actually found this on Instagram the other day, they're listening.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, oh, I'm on Instagram. I know what that is. So it can be a good connector. But with social media, that is something you can control. Who are you following? Are you following people that are gonna, bring up stuff that, are constantly negative or something along those lines? And I think with anything that we do, it can be, why am I opening social media right now?
Yeah.
Why am I, like, what am I looking for? What am I trying to do? Why am I following this person? Why am I posting this picture? And sometimes we do, not that everything in your whole life has to be profound and, it has to be a huge decision, but there are times where it's like, I'm definitely doing this because I need validation from other people. Are you okay with that? The reason that you're doing that? Or does that mean you want to change your mind? So just kind of thinking through things and why am I liking this picture? Why am I DMing this person? Is this a good idea? So just depends.
Do you ask yourself the question why a lot?
I overthink everything. That's why I'm a therapist. No. So the answering that question now where I am in my life, yes. All the time. Probably too much. I'm a little tough on myself right now.
Oh.
It's funny because I'm kind of tough on myself, and then there's other times where it's like you're not being nearly hard enough on yourself. So I'm just in a huge transition time in my life and like healing time in my life where I really need to get it together. So I am asking myself a lot of questions. And just trying to, I have like a mental health check-in on my whiteboard on my fridge, just full of questions and just as a reminder.
Yeah, you remind me of this guy here, Francis. Always, he loves that question. Why?
What I do,
bro? Just let it be. Let it be.
What a nice thing to say. I remind you of Francis. What a nice
when it
thing
comes down to
say.
that question, why? Oh my goodness! I remember there was a phase where that man was questioning everything.
That's true.
That's
true.
Everything, and I was just like, man, sometimes some things are just going to happen, and it is what it is, man. You don't gotta question it all.
Calm down.
It was, and when
it's
you're going through
the worst piece of advice, but go ahead, Francis.
I was just gonna say, when you're going through at that time, you're going through a phase of searching. It's like, that's gonna be the question, and then when you get to a point where you're at peace with the flow of how things are going, you stop asking the question. You're just, you see it coming and you see it going. You're just going with the flow of things rather than focusing on why these things are happening. But that comes with experience, just like everything comes with experience. And being around, the people that I've been around that allow me to learn more about myself as well. And when you learn more about, it starts with you. When you learn more about yourself, you're able to avoid some of those questions that you've been pondering on for years. But yeah.
That's kind of funny that you say that, because I was actually thinking the more that I learn, the more that I ask. So for me, I'm learning right where I'm at right now. I'm learning a lot about stuff from my past, why I am the way that I am, where that came from. And it's from having conversations. It's from reading the book that I'm reading right now. I had one session with my new therapist, and I feel like I got a lot from that. So just different areas where I feel like I am learning. And the more that I learn about who I was then or things that I experienced in my childhood, the more I ask, like, is that why this is happening? Is that why I tend to make those decisions? Is that why I gravitate toward these type of people? So the more I'm learning about certain things, the more it does make me want to learn and make me want to ask. So I'm in a very why phase. Yeah.
Don't be too hard on yourself, though. Remember, you gave that advice. You don't forget your own advice. Don't be too hard on yourself.
I know any of my friends who I made are gonna listen to this. They're gonna be like, yeah, or we've been saying that. Yeah, you're right.
I'm going to flip the script here a bit. You've been listening to, for those who don't know, you've been listening to the podcast for quite some time, right? And I'm sure you've come across
Keep one.
some topics. You've come across some, something that kind of stood out to you, and this is an opportunity for you to bring it up. If you have any, if anything that you that stood out that you want to either share to the audience or ask us more about, this is your chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was like, don't call them out. Don't call them out.
Hey.
No, there was a couple. I mean,
Let's do it. It's everything is
Hey.
open for grabs. Let's do it.
the most. Okay, come on. I mean, the most memorable. I already told you guys this, but the most memorable moment of all of the episodes for me was when Francis said he doesn't know anyone in the mental health field. That is the most memorable moment for me. So I gotta call him out a little bit, but not the only memorable thing, but it's just funny to me. But it's okay. I know you apologize. It's okay.
Yes, I have, and I'm going to continue to. I was at a different phase at that point where I don't know. I just blanked.
Okay.
I just white space there.
It's okay. I wasn't looking for an explanation. That's okay. I'm just messing with you. But no, I know like the managing stress episode I really liked, and different topics like that. I know like just certain things that have come up. Love languages have come up. Different like communication skills and things like that have come up. So there's definitely been times I will respond to you in the car on the way to practice, and Ronnie says something, I'm like, no, or I'm sure there's something that comes up that I really want to respond to. But off the top of my head, like in terms of topics that there's no critique. I just appreciate that
Sure.
these conversations are being had. And that, I hope other people are sitting in their car or at work or wherever listening and having things to say, because that's how you start conversations. That's how you bring things up. So I just appreciate that it's being had for sure. I really liked the last episode, and just in terms of the offense and defense, because that is something that right now is a big deal to me. I do feel like
Appreciate
I'm
that.
playing a lot of defense,
Yeah.
just as I kind of in preparation for offense. And I think that's a big deal too, is understanding the phases of it.
Yeah.
And I do that a lot in therapy with my teens, is sometimes where you're at in your life, you're just not ready to play offense, and that's okay. And the way that I would say it, the words that I would use is just like, healing takes work. Healing takes time. It takes effort. It takes focus. And sometimes where you're at, you're not ready for that. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you're any less. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's like, that's a lot of work and I'm just not quite there yet. So validating yourself and understanding that that's okay is fine. So in the words that you use, playing defense is okay for a little while. Defense wins games,
Yeah.
it's important. So it's okay to accept that that's where you're at. But for me, I think anytime I realize that I'm kind of in defense mode is because I'm prepping for offense, and I'm just really trying to make sure I'm in a good space before I jump right into that. So yeah, I really like that topic. And I feel like that is something that could be discussed more. But yeah, I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I actually love
you.
how you just put it. There's phases to it, and I never really thought about it. Again, I'm a person where like 75% of the time I'm on offense. I'm attacking. I'm going. So I like the fact that you even said, like, there's phases, because not every time is everything going to be good, and you probably can't play offense. You got to sit back a little and kind of
Yep.
see, watch the show kind of happen in front of you. So I really like that. No, that's really key there for anybody listening. And this is why we love talking about previous episodes, because it's not just our perspective. Yes, it's our perspective when we're speaking, but just
Okay.
as you mentioned, you're probably in the car or wherever you are listening, just screaming out loud, or whether in your head and just kind of like, no, this is what I would be saying instead. But
Right.
it's
Yeah.
just the thought that matters, and just having those, like you mentioned, having those conversations and just getting the idea operating in our own heads. Again, you don't have to listen to anything that we're saying and kind of implementing within your own life. You're meant to have your own perspective. So I love the fact that you said that, because that just gave me an entirely new perspective on offense versus defense now. So I'm gonna go ahead and when that day and that time comes, I'm gonna incorporate. I remember Courtney said that this is the time where I'm gonna play a little bit more defense now. Probably won't be too much, but I'll play defense. Trust.
That's okay. It takes time. Ease into it.
Likewise, that was a good point, and I want to I want to follow up to that and say, and ask rather, when, like you said, there's different phases to it. Do you feel as though your value in these different phases, or your foundation in these different phases, change based off of what, where you are? If it's on offense, does that change value principle? Or if you're in defense, does that change your value principle? Like, how is that for you right now?
Yeah.
Because you say you're in.
I like that question, I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good question. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Was there more? Sorry.
No, we're good.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think it should. I don't think it should. And it's because, especially if you do look at it from the healing perspective, no stage of healing is a bad stage, right? No stage of grief is a bad stage. After a trauma, when you just need to sit and be alone, and depression, any of it, no symptoms are bad symptoms, right? Of course you want to be safe and you don't want to be harming yourself and things like that, but everything is understandable, everything is valid when you're experiencing something like that. So it shouldn't have any impact on your value, on who you are, anything like that. But I can also understand how, as an individual, we can feel that way. Like I said, I'm hard on myself. So knowing that right now I am in defensive mode, and just knowing how anxious I feel some days and how overwhelmed I feel some days, my brain goes straight to, you're doing nothing to not feel this way. Like, you're making the choices that are making you feel this way. So I understand what I'm doing. You just have to be aware of, like, you're making these decisions. Are you okay with the decisions that you're making? If not, what decision are you making to change it? Right? So just being aware, like we said, controlling what you can control, and going from there. But I don't think it should. I see how it can from your own perspective of yourself. But I don't think it should. I think it's just a step to the next one.
Fair. I agree, by the way. Just wanted to see where you were with that. I think
I can tell Francis not in the mood to argue today.
No.
I'll tell you that. He's agreeing with everything.
Well, I do think
I've
that's
got my white
not
hat
that
on
we need to
today.
get into that, but I do think that's oh no. Well, I think that's part of why we were able to just communicate so well for so long, and in an interesting way. Like, we've never been super, super communicative or like best friends, but we just communicate very similarly, and our ideas have been, very similar for a long time. So I don't know, and like you said, certain things that we post on social media and stuff, it's just like, yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah.
Like, the same wavelength. So
Yeah.
I don't think we argue too much usually.
Yeah.
Maybe on here, this would be
the moment.
when it would happen.
Hey, don't get it started
We'll
now.
see.
Let's
I don't
get it
have-
started. And hey, sorry, I had to do that.
Sure. I don't
One of
have
us had
any
to.
questions at this time. I think you've covered a lot in such a short period of time, and I don't. We could be here for hours. I know that if we start
Yeah.
talking, we could be here for hours. I just wanted to have an introduction to who you are and what you're all about, and kind of what you're striving to get done. And we will have more opportunity down the line. You're always welcome to be back on this podcast where you can share, more of what's going on in your day to day, or just in general. And we actually, just a little, side conversation here. For our audience, we're in the process of potentially looking to add Courtney full-time here. So it's up to our audience to let us know if, you like the flow of this, and we can get it going. Right now, we're just testing different things and see how it works. And to me, like if it was up to me, you'll be on the show today. But there's a process to the madness. And we have to do it the right way. I'm gonna leave the floor up to Ron to kind of ask any final question you may have.
And to kick things off, for generations listening to this years now, or just whenever they decide to kick this on, is there any wisdom that you would want to pass on to them?
Whoa, big deals. I don't know. Just I think my main thing, and this is probably more personal than anything, is just be kind to yourself. Everyone's dealing with their own stuff. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Yeah, and that's what it will come down to. Having gratitude is huge, and again, not trying to go with the gaslighting, like it'll get better type stuff. I know it's not always that easy. There are times when it's not, but yeah, just be kind to yourself. Have grace for yourself.
Now, for someone that's looking into getting into your industry, maybe looking to be a therapist or anything of that social work in that nature, do you have any kind of guidance, advice for them that maybe, can kind of give them some pointers on things that they should do, things they could look into to help them during their journey?
I think it kind of depends on the route that they take. I know for me, I'm really, really glad I went with social work. Because like I said, I did not, even going into social work, I did not want to be a therapist. I didn't plan on being a therapist. I just knew social work gave me so many options because it is so broad. So for me, that was perfect. And I got a lot of different experience, which led me to be a really like kind of comprehensive therapist, because I've had my, kind of, I don't know how to say it, but I've had experience in lots of different areas, and now I'm able to kind of compile it. So that's been fantastic. I don't think there's any roads that you shouldn't take in terms of this field, just because you're gonna have, like I said, some of my, and especially, with teens, it's different, but with any age group, it could be, I have my DCS, probation kids, I have kids with substance use issues, with trauma, with, specific family stuff. So any road you could take is not a bad road. And yeah, just get your hands on as much experience as you can, and internships and all this type of stuff. But yeah, also one thing I do just want to make sure I say is I would love to talk to people as well. I love connections as well. If anybody listening does have any specific questions or anything like that, I'm definitely open. You can through Walk and Grow Instagram or that way, or through me. I'm happy to do it however.
Yeah, she's getting ahead of herself, guys. That's it. I was gonna get to it, but
sorry,
she's getting ahead of herself. But it's all good. It's all good. Go ahead. You can drop it in terms of like, where can the people really find you?
Yeah, Instagram is probably the easiest way.
What's your handle so that they know?
Yeah, Courtney Lee, Lee, and then 73.
We'll put it in the description.
Add everything in the descriptions as well. So
I follow Walk and Grow. I repost Walk and Grow all the time. You'll find me.
She's by far, I think, the one person that's very, very active when it comes to supporting and just sharing everything that we have going on over here. And now, just to almost wrap things up here, I love asking this question because it gets everyone thinking.
No.
So get ready. What do you think is the number one thing holding people back from their full potential?
I don't know if this is the right answer, but it's the first word that popped into my head, and it's expectations. Just having like expectations of yourself, limits of yourself, judging yourself, things like that. That's kind of the first thing that came to mind is, just, should I, shouldn't I, this isn't right, this isn't best. I mean, my whole thing is always, what are you passionate about? What do you enjoy? What makes you happy? What are you excited about? What gets you excited waking up in the morning? That's what you should be doing.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Okay.
I know it's not always that easy, but.
One last thing.
Go ahead, Francis. Go ahead.
One last thing is, you talked about the importance, and I'm a firm believer of this as well. You talk about the importance of gratitude, and I just wanted to kind of put it out there. Is there anybody that you want to thank for, getting where you got, that helps you through the process, anybody that you're grateful for, you know, at this point, just it's an opportunity for you to thank them, for helping you on your walk through this journey of life. This is self-development that we're all going through. I got my fair share of people that help me, and I would love for you to kind of use this opportunity to thank those who help you on a day-to-day or have helped you in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very, very lucky and very grateful. This could be an episode in itself. Like how many people I value and appreciate. I mean, you guys being one of them, just having this platform, and Francis, you've been there forever. My parents, of course, my sister. I will get emotional talking about this because that's how much I care and that's how much they mean to me. But yeah, my sister, the conversations that we've had, she's a huge part of my learning process always. My friends are incredible. The things that I've been going through and experiencing, and just no judgment whatsoever, and continue to support me. I mean, I posted or sent a message and said, you all need to follow this podcast, and I had like 10 to 12 people just up there the next day, and I was like, literally, I just have the greatest friends and the greatest support system. So I'm not gonna name names because they all know who they are, but yeah, my coworkers, like, I wouldn't be able to do what I do every day without them. So it is just I guess I should say my team for sure. I just have some amazing support system, and that helps to build us up as well. I wouldn't be where I am without all these people. So yeah, thank you for that question.
Awesome. I'm sure they appreciate you as well, and I hope they get to listen and watch this episode on YouTube. And for those who do watch the episode on YouTube, make sure to like the video and subscribe. For those on any other platform, make sure to leave a review. It will help us get to get more visibility out there. And if you like the content, help us grow. And it will go a long way in this process. We're all trying to get somewhere at some point. But for me, that's it. I want to say thank you to Courtney for taking the time to be here with us and sharing a little bit of your wisdom and kind of, having a conversation with us. And I look forward to many more conversations like this. And if there's anybody out there from your group of friends, or, anybody that you will recommend for this platform, I hope this episode is a testament that you can come in and share all that you have to share. We have no filter here. Everybody has a voice. We know that everybody has a story. So come on to the show and do your thing.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Until next time, keep on applying those perspectives, education, growth, and collaboration. All right, y'all.